Become a Patreon at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for special access to photos, articles, and rare to find books on old school bodybuilding. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today we continue with the Golden Era series on Sergio Oliva, where we focus on his early bodybuilding career before the Olympia, before he moved to the IFBB, when he was under the AAU. And the title of this video is called Robbed by the AAU, because you will clearly see, as we see this wonderful physique of Sergio Oliva in his early 20s, he was already ripped, he was huge, he had really impressive muscularity, yet he would lose title after title, year after year. And when you compare his physique to the title winners, there is absolutely no doubt that he was robbed, mostly due to the policies and racism at the time. Here we start with this amazing shot of Sergio, I believe in 1965, in the AAU Mr. America. He is shredded, ripped, muscular, massive, and throwing a wonderful crab pose. It's a real trip back to history when we see what happened to Sergio, and it's truly a sad tale. Let's have a look at Sergio Oliva before the Olympia. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, once Sergio had moved to Chicago and joined the Duncan YMCA gym, where he continued weightlifting, he was shortly after convinced by Bob Guider to begin bodybuilding, and he did, and burst onto the scene. He did, winning the 1963 Mr. Young Chicagoland, coming first, and following that with a win in 1964 Mr. Illinois. Here is a young Sergio, already looking massive, already looking thick, with a phenomenal physique, wowing the crowd with his unforeseen mass and development. But after this, as soon as he started competing in the Mr. America, it was so obvious that racism and the policies of the AAU to mainly have only white Americans, white title winners represent the Mr. America and be the title holders of Mr. America, affected Sergio's rise in bodybuilding severely. Let's have a look. Now, Sergio entered the 1964 AAU Mr. America, where he lost to Val Vasiliev. Here I show you two photos of the two athletes side by side. Sergio, believe it or not, came seventh to Val. I mean, I just can't believe it. You can really see the not just the massive physique that Sergio held on his phenomenal frame, but the whole aesthetics is just completely off, I think, with Val Vasiliev. He's got a thick waist, and his thighs are not defined. He's got barely any carbs at all. Whereas when you compare Sergio's physique, I mean, it's just day and night, isn't it? I mean, for God's sake, I don't know how the judges could possibly award Sergio 7th place when you compare it to the inferior physique of Val Vasiliev. All respect to him. I'm pretty sure as a natural bodybuilder, he was well developed for his day, but you've got to be honest and compare the physiques as they are. Sergio simply had a more massive and more impressive physique, and as I mentioned earlier, Bob Hoffman's AAU was very racist, I believe, at the time. It is not just my opinion, but the opinion of many, and he did clearly state once that he would only allow Mr. America title winners to be white. And even so, I mean, when you look at Sergio being having the development that he had, he also was very muscular, more muscular than most, and more muscular and defined than most of the competitors. Yet in this first competition, he only came third in the most muscular. It was very disappointing for him, and you can imagine the crowd's disappointment as well. Now, Sergio was to again compete in 1965 for the AAU Mr. America, which was won by Jerry Daniels, who came first. Second was Randy Watson, and second his tutor Bob Guider. Sergio came fourth, so he was climbing up the ladder. But when you compare the physiques of Jerry Daniels to Sergio, I mean, it's just ridiculously obvious. They just didn't want to give it to Sergio. You'll see it in the next slide. Sergio also competed in the same day for the Junior Mr. America, where he came second. They just would not give him first place. It is just So obvious that they didn't want to. Let's have a look. Let's compare these physiques side by side. Now here's a comparison of the first place winner Jerry Daniels and Sergio Oliva. And I mean, you can see how obvious this decision was, to just place a white man over a black man. I mean, this is just disgusting. It really is. It is despicable, to be honest. I mean, how can they give Sergio 4th place? Look at his muscularity. He's even got vessels bursting out of his arms and neck and down through his calves. And the other guy just looks smooth. Looks completely smooth, and Sergio's just ripped, striations across all his muscles, not so much his legs, I admit, but I mean upper body, he just destroys Jerry. And I mean, I don't understand this. How can they give him 4th place? His physique was superior, more muscular mass, better definition, better muscularity. Just I don't know what they were thinking. It's obvious that it was racism, absolutely. Now, what I find most ironic, from 1965 onwards, Sergio began winning all the most muscular awards as well as all the body part awards. So here he is in comparison, for example, with Bob Guider. He actually beat Bob Guider in the most muscular award. Yet Bob Guider came second, I believe, in 1965 in the Mr. America title. How can you be more muscular than the second place winner and come 4th? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, in this competition, in the 1965 Junior and Senior Mr. America, Sergio cleaned up the awards. He won most muscular, best chest, best back, best arms, etc. Yet he didn't win the title. It really is disgusting when you look at the amount of racism that he had to go through. I mean, look at his body. His aesthetics are just phenomenal. He's got such a tiny waist versus his other competitors, such incredible definition throughout his whole body, and they just would give him a most muscular but not the title. I think it's disgusting. Now by 1966, I think Sergio just had about enough, because he entered the 1966 AAU Mr. America again. He finally achieved 1st place in the Junior Mr. America competition, but again, he didn't win the overall Mr. America title, coming in 2nd behind Bob Guider, his own tutor. Again, he won most muscular on both categories in the Junior and Senior Mr. America titles. And let's look, you can see Bob Guider's physique, a very good physique, no doubt. But when we compare it to Sergio in the next slide, it's just it's just day and night. It's ridiculous. Here is Sergio in the 1966 competition. I mean, come on, how can he not win the competition? His physique is superior and had dominated in the last 3 years, in those last 3 years from 1964 to 1965 in the AAU Mr. America competitions. And from what I've read in the articles, the crowd was going wild. I mean, whenever he went on stage, people were just going crazy. And they were also getting very upset that he wasn't winning awards, which is why they would actually give him all the most muscular awards, best chest, best back, best arms, best thighs, etc. But they wouldn't give him the title. So they would try and please the crowd by awarding Sergio all these titles, but they would not name him Mr. America. Of course, this infuriated Sergio, and he finally decided to leave the AAU and joined the IFBB. So as soon as Sergio left the AAU and finally joined the IFBB in 1966, he actually won Mr. World, a high caliber competition at the time. A year later, he became the IFBB Mr. Universe, and of course began his streak of Olympia wins. So it was obvious that the IFBB was not as racist, having dark skinned champions prior. For example, Harold Poole was another black American champion of the IFBB. So he did enjoy a rather successful run under the IFBB. And it's a very important transition for Sergio, which is why it's part of this video series of Blueprint to the Myth. Because as soon as he left the AAU and was exposed to the IFBB, he started learning from the IFBB champions, such as Dave Draper, Harold Poole, etc. He began to use their techniques. And by using their techniques, he was to develop his physique further, and that will be the topic of the next video. So his influences were those as Harold Poole and as well as Dave Draper. He actually started learning from them and applied their techniques, and we know that his physique exploded from then on. I mean, no wonder he took all the Olympia titles. So in the next video, we will focus on this transition from Sergio moving from the AAU to the IFBB, and the effect it had on his bodybuilding routines, because that's really what happened to him. I mean, his approach to training changed, and his physique transformed to the massive physique that we've all seen Sergio in the Olympias, and in the Olympias, and how he basically shocked Arnold the first time he saw him. So we are going to cover in the next few videos his routines as he trained under the IFBB, as a bodybuilder under the IFBB in the late 60s. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and this continuation of Blueprint to the Myth, the Golden Era series on Sergio Oliva. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave me your comments, and thank you for watching. If you would like to donate, please visit PayPal and donate to goldenerabookworm@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in becoming a patron and would like to have access to photos, to have access to articles, or to hard to find old school bodybuilding books, please join my Patreon account, Golden Era Bookworm, www.patreon.com. That's it for me now. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.
Hi everybody, I just want to recommend this phenomenal book, Vince's Secret Locker, volume number 2 by Carl Coyne. I've been looking at this for about 4 weeks and I can't put it down. If you get a chance, check it out. He also has a part 1 that I highly recommend also. Vince was the trainer to the stars and had an amazing, interesting gym that today there's still not equipment like it around. It was all made out of wood. He'll be on our radio show coming up probably in the next couple weeks or so. Have a great day, and again, highly recommend this book.